Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the special budget session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. Also sitting as all special taxing districts, May 6, 2025, 9 a.m. Board members will attend either in person, by telephone, or remotely via electronic conferencing. We're all here. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Please lead us.
Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We'll move on to call to the public. Call to the public is held for public benefit to allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statute 38-431.01H, action taken as a result of public comments will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. I know we get, do we have any emails?
We did not receive any emails.
And I do have a speaker form. Gene?
Bicycle man.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Good morning,
County
Gene.
Board of Supervisors and staff. Another beautiful day in Yuma County. And I'm sure grateful the way the weather has been coming along, breaking into summer kind of gently. And that's really appreciative. Today it's about bicycles, as how could you imagine anything else?
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's always something that's nice to have, a little alert. Don't forget 60 benefits of bicycling. I mean, this is amazing when you really read. Now, some of them are kind of tongue-in-cheek, there's no question about it. But I was just glancing at a few of the bottom line items when it says bicycling is nearly a lifelong activity. Yeah, even like golf, right?
Yeah.
And then bicycling is a great full family and friend activity. Cycling is low impact on the body. Cycling is low impact on the environment. Bicycling in your neighborhood is a great way to meet your neighbors and build community. Now, how many more benefits do we have to see how many wonderful things can happen with riding bicycles? So my message today, going into this very important process of budgeting, what about bicycles? Every department in the county has some aspect of bicycling, whether it's in their employees, it may ride to work, it may be some other form of funding or something like that, or some idea of design, or just maybe from the idea of encouraging the fact that body activity will help productivity in the work environment as well. So to each of you, I challenge you at the end of a discussion, your comment is, what about bicycles? And to the staff in your environment as well, I would appreciate that too. One of these days, Yuma will embrace bicycling, Yuma County will embrace bicycling to the point that we will be the best bicycling community in the Southwest. And that will only bring more visitors, too much of our chagrin perhaps, but we do get summer and they do go home. So we appreciate that. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene.
Anybody else from the public that wishes to address the board? None, bring them back to the board and move on to discussion and action items. The board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action as appropriate. Hand it over to you, Ian.
Thank you, Chairman. Just a brief introduction. Yesterday, I provided an overview of the recommended budget for fiscal year 2025-26. It's a sound, fiscally sustainable, conservative budget that meets the needs of our growing community, that funds numerous capital projects that enhance service delivery, quality of life, and public health and safety, preserves the strong contingency reserves to safeguard against emergencies and revenue shortfalls, and does all of this without increasing the general fund property tax rate or the combined tax rate for all funds. So today, we'll hear input from outside agencies, elected offices, the courts, county departments regarding the recommended budget. Following that, staff will be available to present the interactive budget summary and the long-range financial forecast if desired. I do want to extend my sincere thanks to the budget review team. Each member devoted significant time to the process, and the result of that is the budget before you today. I also want to acknowledge the hard work from county departments, directors, elected officials, and their staff. Their collaboration has been key to this process, and appreciate that. The result of all this work is an effective, balanced budget that reflects the county's stable financial position and our commitment to prudent, conservative fiscal strategy. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Ian. And well, welcome to today's budget session. Ian hit a good note there. We are a very conservative board. I think, I've been here for 8 years, going on 9, and I think we've always looked at uncertainties that are ahead. So we always keep that in mind. This year, it's really, we don't know what's out there, what's coming. So we made decisions or instructed Ian to look at the budget and really be extra conservative from previous years, because we don't know what's coming. So we just want to be prepared, and hopefully this year we get through with no hiccups in the road, and we can continue back the following year to what normally the budget is, and look at other things that departments need. So I do want to thank also the BRT. It was I know it's a long process. All the departments for your work there, and also I want to encourage departments to send a member or the director to the BRT team, as we asked 2 years ago, that to have a rotating BRT member every year, so you see the other side of that table when the BRT is making decisions, why and why not give that department what they need. So I want them to understand, or everybody to understand what the BRT team goes through. So thank you. With that, we'll get started, and we'll go to item A, with the Yuma Economic Development Corporation. Morning, Greg.
Good morning, Chairman. Board, for the record, Greg Levon, President CEO, Greater Yuma Economic Development. I just want to thank you for your continued support of our organization. We've had a phenomenal year. I anticipate we're going to have another phenomenal upcoming year, even during these uncertain economic times. We very much appreciate all the input we received from Chairman and from Supervisor Lyons on our board. And I am here on your behalf to answer any questions, comments, or concerns you have about our budget or our organization.
Mr. Chairman, are you okay with your budget?
I am. Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you so much.
Keep up the good work.
I'd like to quote Tony. And one thing he always says, quit while you're ahead.
That's right.
A good policy, man.
Thank you, Greg.
Hopefully we see you on Thursday at our luncheon. Have a good day.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Item B, admissions.
Going to lunch.
Open house for my son.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Morning,
Mara.
Mr. Chair, board, staff. So good to see you all this morning. I want to thank you for the opportunity to receive funds from the budget. And we've had a busy year, 211,000 meals that we've served in 2024. And we had over 30,000 bed nights. We had over 4,000 people who took some part of our program and our services. And 400 kids were in that amount. So you can see that we're very busy. I gave you a handout of our newsletter and our new brochure for the new facility that we're working on to get built. And it will get built, because then I get to retire. So I thank you once again. I hope you have a short day, and I won't take up a lot of your time. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mara.
I do want to bring something up. When somebody's coming up, could you have somebody from the BRT just tell us exactly where the budget is? I know. Yeah,
It's right there.
I see, I got it here. I just, normally it goes like this. It's the recorder's office. So it starts on page so-and-so, and it ends on page so-and-so, and it's in the book. We all have a book, we all have the computer, so it's easier to follow that way. I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, these
because they're
are
not
listed
in it.
under outside agencies, the first
they're
few
like-
ones, and then we'll start
Got
getting
it.
into the.
Got it, thank you. So they're in the outside agency.
Yes, sir.
They're the first ones. on the- Item C, University of Arizona Cooperative Extension. Morning, Russ.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, supervisors. Appreciate the opportunity to be here and just want to say I thank you for your continued support. We appreciate it.
Any questions for us? Well, thank you, Russ.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have we started on the building yet?
Questions, don't ask questions you don't want answers to right away.
Why not?
Item D, Yuma Community Food Bank.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys have just been the best.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. As I was explaining to our county administrator that I want to give prompts to Yuma County because your ability to see the need, to meet it, and to be so consistent with your staff and the budget requirements. I didn't know just how much to appreciate that until this year, and so I'm just giving you kudos. We're still serving way more people than we should be, but we are meeting the need. We're having some issues with the USDA right now, but we're trying to work through those. And having your funding just makes that a tad bit easier. And I just want to thank you all for supporting us so that we can support the community.
Any questions? Oh, thank you.
I'm going to quit while I'm ahead.
Keep us updated on that.
Not only that, but
On the
food bank is
USDA.
one of those programs that I think flows with the, it ebbs and flows with the needs.
It does.
So if there comes a point where you need more, I mean, we obviously, we can channel some of the funds from the Cocoa Putt Drive or from the,
Well, we're hoping not to have to ask for that. I'm exhausting a lot of legislative contacts to just try to find out what the holdup is, and not to take up too much time, but I have determined that USDA is very fragmented. People that are at the top are no longer people who have institutional memory of what it looks like to support the Farm Bill, which in fact supports many food banks across the United States. So having found that out in the last couple of years and now experiencing it now because there is nobody there, we're getting no's to pretty much everything. We've had 7 loads of commodities canceled in the last 6 months, and it's very, very unusual in my 11 years with the food bank. So anyway, I want to thank you for this
Thank you,
support.
Sharon.
Thank you. Go to item E, Arizona Western College Small Business Development Center.
You'll find their budget, good morning, Lucia Gomez, Budget Manager. You'll find their budget under Outside Agencies tab, page 6 out of 6.
Good morning, Chairman, Supervisors. My name's Crystal Mendoza. I'm the Director of the Small Business Development Center at Arizona Western Entrepreneurial College. And I'm here to thank you for your continued support, your commitment to the people of Yuma County, to their dreams, their determination, and their future. This week, we're actually celebrating National Small Business Week, and so I'm here to celebrate with each and every one of you. because with your support together, not only are we reflecting, we are in action. Together, we're able to put together initiatives. So across our county, we have Please Buy Local flags as well as banners to remind us to support our local small business, visible signs of a thriving, united community. Tomorrow, we carry out the spirit as my team and I head to Phoenix, where my center will be recognized by the Small Business Administration. We're receiving the SBDC Excellence Award. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We're super excited about it. In addition, we have 2 local small businesses that will also be recognized. Ana Bella de Andas, she's the owner of Mama Bella Hot Sauce. She is receiving the Arizona Woman Small Business of the Year Award. Yes, thank you. And then we also have Mr. Alan Pruitt, the owner of Yuma Brew and View. He will be receiving Arizona's Veteran Small Business Champion as well. So 1 county, 3 awards, hundreds of lives transformed. To close off this week, we will be hosting the Small Business Resource Fair held here in Yuma, where we are inviting over 15 organizations to help us uplift our local entrepreneurs. So on behalf of my team and our small business community, thank you for believing us and for supporting our local entrepreneurs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
A lot of work behind that.
Yes, ma'am. A lot of work. I was just sharing. My days go by very, very fast.
Yeah.
Good problem to have for sure. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. We'll move on to item F. Our county departments now start.
You sure? We can skip this one.
Sheriff's Office.
For the sheriff's office, you will find their budget information under the sheriff's tab.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Leon Wilmot, Sheriff Yuma County. First, I would just like to remind everybody that May 15th is the Law Enforcement Memorial here locally, and 6:30, 7 o'clock, so we can honor the over 147 lost law enforcement officers throughout this country. So wanted to put that on your
6:30?
calendar. 18:30, 6:30.
6:30 at the PAC.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, just wanted to throw that out there.
PAC.
In the morning?
Or 6:30. 6:30?
I've got 6:30,
Got it.
but we can get the information to you through.
Okay.
that
I'm
work.
sure we'll get an invitation. Yeah.
So first, I want to thank the budget review team and Ian for all their hard work. Obviously, they got a lot of things to cover, like you mentioned. 2 things for us at the sheriff's office. Our building is the oldest in the county. It was built in 1986. And unfortunately, we've been going through, especially on the jail, and now we're experiencing it on the administrative side. The plumbing is all cast pipe and is failing us. And that was one thing that was kind of put off. I talked to Ian this morning about it, and we're going to try to work through that. But I've got to be able to have our showers in the locker room and the facilities in the basement to be able to operate without flooding. So that's something that we're going to be working with Ian on through this year. The other big thing I wanted to touch on was the medical examiner's office. We assume that to assist the county and be able to perform that service. The one thing that I wanted to bring to everybody's mind is that currently for us, we've got 1 supervisor and 4 investigators in Yuma County. With a population of over 200,000, our officers are handling over 380 cases right now. We're averaging anywhere from 85 deaths per month to over 140 deaths per month. When you compare that to like Pinell County with a population of over 485,000, they've got 1 supervisor and 11 staff, and they only handle 161 cases per officer for them. When you look at Coconino County, they got 1 supervisor and 6 investigators, and they've only got 153 cases per investigator for this last year. So we are way above the norm for most of the other counties in the state. And with that being a county function, not a sheriff's office function, we do need help in being able to address the personnel to handle that caseload. It's not an easy task when you're trying to deal with all the different countries that we have to deal with on top of all the other states to try to coordinate DNA for unknown deaths, et cetera. So that's something that we discussed with the BRT, and it's something that we need to address as a county on being able to adequately manpower the medical examiner's office.
Chairman, is that something we can handle with temporary part-time positions, or Leon, does that work?
We have done some of that in the past to fill the gap because of vacations and sick for the personnel that are assigned to that. But when you look at that, that comes out of the sheriff's office budget, not the county's budget.
What's wrong with that?
Oh. So we would have to look at working with Ian to be able to facilitate a part-time from the general fund, not from the sheriff's office fund.
Okay.
So that's how we would address that. Right now, we are trying to offset some of that through our budget, but again, we need to address it for the full-time.
And I think, you know, if you can continue with Ian working and see what, maybe we can find something mid-year or later, you know, this budget year, if we can move on and just to see what's ahead, and then we'll definitely look into that.
And one of the biggest hits, and we had a one-time stipend from the county to help with the DNA portion.
Yeah.
I think it was like 40,000. We were only asking for 20,000 because we have found some revenues out there where we could get some of that DNA done for free to identify these individuals. But again, that's limited scope as far as that goes. And that was part of the request too, I believe. So, but other than that.
That works?
Yeah.
Keep working on and see maybe mid-year how we're, you know, how we are, or where we're at, and find something, a
So the
solution.
supervisor said tap their budget, and we'll be good. So.
Mr. Chairman, in your wildest dreams, I mean, how many more positions would you like, or what would be the optimum request for you?
I believe they put it in the deal, but it was for how many?
Requested two.
Just 2 positions.
And Chairman, I'll be happy to work with the sheriff in his office to discuss this further. And see if we can get one.
Any other questions for the sheriff?
No.
Well, that's the wrong question to ask. How would you, what is dream, what would you want?
Well, we are always realistic on what we need to get the job done. We're not gonna ask for fluff, you know.
That is your wildest dream.
So.
Thank you, Sheriff.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
We forgot to ask you how you like your budget.
Oh, he likes it.
He likes it.
It's on, Lucia, it's on
Yeah,
alphabetical
it's in
order, huh? Okay?
Presentation follows the
We'll
book.
just follow, yeah, we'll follow the, because I'm announcing them, so we'll move on to item G, school superintendent.
Chairman, members of the board, Mr. Gahey,
Morning.
Mr. Reyes, we happy with the budget.
Thank you.
I'm really appreciative of Mr. McGahey for the process of the budget process that included everybody. And everybody in the county felt like they had a part of this. And I'm really appreciative of the fact that that it included everybody, and so everybody had a say-so. And we are able to continue the same level of service in our department as we have before. So thank you.
Thank you. Item H, County Assessor's Office.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Stevie Seal, and I'm a Yuma County Assessor. First off, we want to say thank you to the budget team. We are the new administration and they have worked with us, and we appreciate everything you guys have done. If you have any questions on our budget, we have numbers here for you if you have any, but right now we're happy with it.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Thank you.
Item H, County Treasurer's Office.
Chairman, Board, Admin, and Budget Department. David Alexander, Yuma County Treasurer's Office. Our submitted budget is solid, so.
All right. Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Item J, County Recorder's Office, David, another David.
Hello, good morning. How's everybody doing? This has been a learning experience, and your budget team is pretty good. That's coming from a government critic, so you have a good team there. So we have some special elections coming around this year, but I think we already worked around it, so I think we're doing good. So we'll get through it. So you have a good team in your budget.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Item K, County Attorney's Office. Morning,
Good
Carolyn.
morning.
Carolyn Kozarowski, County Attorney. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, honorable board members. I did not get the memo that this was supposed to be less than 2.5 minutes. So if you'd like to come back to me, I would understand. I appreciate the caution the board is exercising in the financial uncertainty that we are in right now. The County Attorney's Office receives a good deal of federal funding. And while there may be some cause for concern, I take a lot of solace in knowing that this board is committed to the safety of our public and the protection of our victim rights. I would like to thank the members of the BRT who took the time to really listen and understand what it takes to operate the County Attorney's Office and what our needs are. As you know, the responsibilities of my office fall into 3 different categories. The board and members of the administration are probably most familiar with the functions of the Civil Division. But we also have the Office of Victim Services. That is largely grant funded. The dedicated members of that division assist and inform crime victims as their cases progress through the criminal justice system. But the bulk of the county attorney resources go to the criminal division. That is the division I am most familiar with. I was told, oh, there is a clicker. I started at the county attorney's office as an unpaid intern in 2002 after completing my first year of law school. I then returned over the Christmas and summer breaks until I graduated in 2004. During that time, I was able to observe John Tate prosecute Lourdes Espinoza Humer for the 2001 murder of her young son and the attempted murder of her other son. See, while some murder investigations may take weeks or even months, or they may take years if they're cold cases, all of the prosecution of homicide cases takes years. During that time, these cases are being actively worked by members of the county attorney's office. A victim service advocate is assisting the surviving's family members with everything from funeral and travel arrangements to court appearances and victim impact statements. The law defines all immediate family members of a murder victim as a victim in homicide, and they are each entitled to victims' rights as required by our Constitution and the statutes. This work often involves the spouse, parents, children, and siblings of the deceased victim. The victim compensation coordinator is presenting their case to the compensation board to tap into grant funds available to assist with the economic impact the murder has had on each family member. There could be counseling sessions, missed work, funeral expenses, and this victim compensation coordinator ensures timely reimbursement to the victim each and every time one of these expenses comes up during the years that this murder case is pending. The victim notification team is notifying the surviving victims before and after every single court hearing. The front desk personnel are taking and routing every call that comes into the main line of the office about that case. From surviving victims, defense attorneys and staff, law enforcement, media requests, and just your average wacko. In addition, They are routing all the paperwork from the court on the case. Minute entries, defense motions and filings, court orders, and such. That hasn't even touched on the criminal division and what we do with the cases there. In the criminal division, the intake personnel receive the reports, records, interviews, surveillance video, and all other evidence collected by law enforcement. The legal secretaries are responsible for redacting and disclosing all of that evidence to the defense attorneys, running criminal histories, requesting documentation of prior convictions, assisting the prosecutors by scheduling all appointments and interviews, drafting basic motions and correspondence, preparing the packets that will be provided to the court about the offense and the offender in the event of a conviction, and doing any other routine work that needs to be done on the case. At the beginning of the case, the grand jury personnel are preparing draft indictments, supervening indictments, warrants, and justice court dismissals, while near the end of the case, the paralegals and the litigation support specialists are assisting the attorneys in preparing the case for trial. Every day, the calendaring desk ensures that all files being heard in court on that day are organized and presented in the assigned courtroom. Then at the end of the day, they process the cases back to the attorneys and the secretaries. In the past 20 years, technology has changed many things, but each and every one of those duties remains the same. It may just be done differently. The investigation into the Espinoza humor case was cutting edge because law enforcement was able to access her internet search history. She accessed the internet through a dial-up connection from a landline modem. There was no Google, there were no smartphones. Police reports were handwritten in block letters or typed. Photos of the crime scene were taken on 35mm film and Polaroids. Interviews were recorded on VHS and microcassette. One of my first trials in the brand new state-of-the-art Justice Center courtroom, I was holding a microcassette recorder up to a microphone in order to present testimony to the jury. When I first started in 2002, our case management system consisted of 3x5 cards. And one of my jobs as an intern was data entry of those 3x5 cards into our brand new case management software. I've seen a lot in the past 20 years. While technology has changed, our office's commitment to prosecuting offenders and protecting victims has never wavered. As a line prosecutor, I saw things within our office's processes and systems that could have been done better, but I had no authority to make the changes that needed to be made. That all changed in January. Since that time, my office has worked with Tiffany Armenta and her team to have proper emergency exit access for all employees and visitors to the county attorney's office. We have instituted environmental changes, offered trainings, and actively supported our personnel to help deal with the information and images they experience every single day that document the cruelty that one human being can inflict on others. We are beginning to understand and use our new case management software for more than just a substitute of the 3x5 cards. We have explored other technological solutions, particularly with transcription and redaction software that will assist the legal support staff in performing their duties, thus saving time and money. We've worked with our law enforcement partners to improve the way we receive information and reports from them in order to make it more efficient, both in the receiving and the disclosure to defense. Most dramatically, the legal office supervisors have worked to completely restructure the support staff of the criminal division in order to streamline case flow within the office. But even with all of those changes, we need more. The year I started in 2002, there were 6 homicides in the entire year. We have responded to 10 in the past 6 weeks. They run the gamut, from vehicular homicides, 2 stabbings, domestic violence, possible drug-related, a double homicide involving gun violence, and 3 child deaths. This week alone, on Thursday, we responded to the death of a newborn infant. Saturday was the double homicide. Sunday was a stabbing, but they gave us a day off yesterday. And that's just the homicides. The county attorney's office is responsible for reviewing all felonies and all juvenile offenses that occur anywhere within this county. We are also responsible for misdemeanors committed outside of city limits. Those cases come from 5 local law enforcement agencies: YCSO, Yuma Police Department, San Luis PD, Somerton PD, and Welton PD. 2 tribal agencies, Cocopah and Cochin. 1 state agency of DPS, and a whole alphabet soup of federal agencies: BP, CBP, HSI, DEA, and occasionally the FBI. There is no overflow. There is no backup. Absent a legal conflict, we must handle every single case that comes into our office. Last calendar year, 2024, we received 3,045 felony reports. This resulted in the initiation of 1,462 new prosecutions. We prosecuted 1,125 new misdemeanor cases and 366 juvenile petitions. In addition to the new criminal cases, we handle all the petitions for post-conviction relief, petitions for expungement, petitions for set-aside and restoration of civil rights, requests for extraditions, and the writs. We did all of this with only 20 attorney FTEs, many of which were vacant at the time, and 31 other FTEs. Up until recently, we were running 6 attorneys short. The most pressing need that we have comes from the double-edged sword of technology. Technology has allowed us to be much more efficient in many ways. Communication, documentation, storage of information, retrieval of that information, use of that information, evidence presentation in the courtroom. But what it gave with one hand, it overwhelmed with the other. The sheer volume of available evidence is astronomical. Surveillance cameras, smartphone downloads, geolocation data, third-party records such as medical and banking records, internet search histories, personally created photos and images. But of all of this, the most overwhelming has been body-worn camera. Okay, you gotta be smarter than the clicker. Our legal secretary twos perform the administrative functions that are not specific to attorney work. They handle every case that comes into the office. They do intake, they do calendaring, they open the cases, they close the cases. They do all the distribution. Victim rights. Arizona law requires that prosecution redact crime victims' personal identifying information from the evidence we receive from law enforcement before it is disclosed to the defense attorneys. All written reports, all interviews, all medical and banking records, all body-worn camera need to have this information redacted from it before we can disclose it to the defense. Obviously, there's constitutional implications in us providing this information to the defense, and the rules of criminal procedure outline how disclosure is to be made and provides deadlines by which it must be done. We simply cannot do this with the resources we have. This has been building for some time. This is not new. This is one of the things I observed but could do nothing about. YCSO first started testing body-worn cameras around 2010, 15 years ago. In early 2015, Somerton PD was the first law enforcement agency locally to require all of their officers to wear body-worn camera. October of 2019, Yuma PD started requiring officers to wear body-worn camera. right in there is where we got our new case management system. Late 2023, San Luis PD started having all officers wearing body cam systems. As you can see, that 3,045 reports that we received last year is a substantial increase, and it's been increasing over and over again, doubling almost from 2019, just a mere 5 years ago. While this may not seem like a lot, what we have to consider is the impact of this. If we have one officer show up on scene for 1 hour, and let's say only 1,000 cases were victim cases, not including their vehicle video, each officer has a body-worn camera, a forward-looking camera, a rear-looking camera, and a camera on the back seat. But I'm just talking about the one they're wearing. If we had an LS2 working 40 hours a week for 25 weeks, they could review 1 hour of video. If there's 2 officers, 2 hours. So you're looking at 20, I said that incorrectly. It would take 25 weeks for them to review the 1,000 hours. If all they did was sit there and redact video, if all they did was watch it, it would take them 25 weeks just to watch the videos, not including the work it takes to redact them. Most typically, there's 3 to 5 officers on scene for approximately 2 hours. When you start talking about the homicides, there's 10 to 20 officers for 8+ hours. So not including the police reports, not including the interviews, simply the body-worn camera, that's 160 hours of body cam that needs to be reviewed and redacted. But we don't have only 1,000 victim cases. Fiscal year 23-24, we had 2,384 felony victim cases that had to be reviewed. 565 misdemeanors and 364 juvenile cases. A total of 3,313 cases, not the 1,000 that the last example was based upon. It's absolutely overwhelming. I do appreciate those members who took the time to really listen and understand this. They have come up with a compromise to my request for 5 FTEs. They are offering 4 FTEs for 6 months, or excuse me, 4 temporary employees for 6 months and 3 for another 6 months. Unfortunately, these temporary employees cannot do the work of redacting. It's not the technological issues. It's the fact that they are going to have to see things on these body-worn cameras that they are not trained to see, they don't have the resilience to see, and they do not have the support system to see. In addition, there's the trust factor. When we're working with temporary employees, having access to the most sensitive information about victims and seeing victims on the worst day of their life. Therefore, this solution was proposed on Friday. So for the last few days, we've been trying to work in temps to our system that we have going on. This will get us through the next fiscal year. We are going to test it. We are going to see how it can be done. What we are doing is we are taking responsibilities away from the LS2s and giving them to the temps, and then having our LS2s do the redactions. However, the use of temporary employees is exactly that. It's a temporary patch to a situation that's only going to get worse. However, in the coming fiscal year, with the recommended budget as well as the additional set-asides, we will be able to meet our grant matching requirements, maintain our software licenses and use technology to further streamline prosecution processes, become compliant with our records destruction policy, enhance the protection of our prosecutors who respond to crime scenes, and most importantly, protect the rights of victims while holding their perpetrators accountable. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for Carol?
I'm not sure. Was this like a teaching section that you?
Yes,
Absolutely. It was letting you know what we do in the county attorney's office.
And then the purpose of it was to make sure that next year we look at it differently because we see just how much work.
Hopefully.
If you would like to give me 5 FTs this year, I would gladly accept them.
Well, see, that's what the BRT is supposed to do. It's not, you know, and I understand the part of the process that we listen to this explanation of what you guys do. I know it's an intricate job, and I know that technology is not going to supplant people sometimes, even though technology does make the job easier. For in some areas, it also makes it very difficult in other areas, especially when you have to keep records. So I appreciate the lesson, and I think I know what you're trying to do here. Let us know, look, I can deal with this issue this year, but don't expect it to be that way from that point on.
I really wanted you to understand the reasoning behind the request. Instead of just stepping up and saying, I need 5 new people, I wanted you to understand what those 5 people would be doing and why they're important.
Got it.
I learned a lot about the body worn camera and the amount of time that it takes.
I did. I learned quite a bit.
So I appreciate that.
No, thank you, but, you know, I'm gonna say that the temps will actually be good because they'll lead for you to hire them. So, in a sense, it does make sense.
As long as I have the FTEs to put them into that position.
Well, but if you were asking for 4, you don't have them, or no? Okay. Well, but I mean, you might.
I might.
I mean, so this is, and it's good to hear this, but, you know, I do think that in the future, I think if we get all this information before, that we will be more prepared, and at least talk with the BRT. But I do think that the temps will make a difference, and lead to that, because and also, you know, I mean, I've been talking with Ian and the administration, and I think the board's aware of that. If this just didn't happen this year.
No, sir.
So it's, to me, that's lack of managing. I think, I mean, honestly, we got to be straightforward and say, yeah, because if 3 years, 4 years ago, they would have been asking for 1 and explain this, I think it's a lot easier than to show up 1 year and say, well, I need 4 or 5.
I understand, sir.
So, you know, and I think that for all the departments, I mean, we don't wait till 1 year and say, well, we need 4, especially on a very uncertain year that we don't know really what's coming. So, but thank you, Carmen.
Thank you,
Really
Mr.
appreciate it.
Chairman.
Thank you. Moving up to item I, Public Defender.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Supervisors. Greetings from the Public Defender's Office. There have been 3 big things I guess I should report to the board. One is I think the Budget Review Committee has recommended that we keep our open positions. We don't want new positions. We don't need new positions. We can do what we're required to do with what you've given us. And the board's been pretty generous with the employees the last 2-3 years. I've been here 5 or 6 almost. So I guess what I would report is, first, we're not looking for anything new. We're had a few open positions because we do have a recruiting issue, but we just made a offer to a Army veteran. She's going to be remarkable. She's a brand new lawyer coming to us under the ALAP program, and she'll be a very suitable new lawyer, maybe stand in for Veterans Court, which the board supports, and we're anxious to appear at Veterans Court. Happens every Wednesday. And the other big change is we have asked that our contract employee in juvenile be transferred to Paul Abbott, because it's really not fair for us to grade her work or her to grade our work. She should be under a different leadership because we represent different juveniles in the same case. The third thing, I guess, if I understand the recommendation from the review committee is that we keep our status quo. We've had a few open positions. In addition to the conditional offer we've made to this Army veteran, we have two other real strong prospects, one of which grew up in Yuma, has family in El Centro and in Yuma, and he would be an outstanding brand new lawyer. He's been barred about 1 year, and so he knows Yuma. He grew up here. He has family here. We haven't interviewed him.
That's how you keep them.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Anyway, he's a good prospect. We have yet one more from the ALAP program that the Supreme Court has approved, and she just got barred, or else she will be once she gets her conditional approval from Character and Fitness. We'd like to interview her as well. Thank you for hopefully keeping our status quo. We're not asking for anything new, and we could not do it with our staff. They're remarkable.
Thank you. Are you okay with your budget? Thank you.
Any questions for us, sir?
No. Thank you.
We're okay, we're okay.
Moving on to M, Constable 1, Art.
Art.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Chairman, Board, BRT. Thank you very much for the opportunities to work with you, to be able to come in and just be able to listen to what's going on. We are absolutely content in what we have. We're status quo and make it real easy today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Up next, Superior Court. Judge. Morning.
Chairman Porches, members of the board. Thank you to Ian and the BRT. We're happy with the recommendations of the BRT. I just want to thank you also. The remodel on the historic courthouse is scheduled to be completed toward the end of June. So then we'll all have our own courtrooms, our own chambers, and we're looking forward to that. Heads up, we will likely be requesting another division next year. We're not this year, but thank you for all that you do. And any questions for the courts?
I just want to make a comment. Congratulations, Judge, on every judge that we sent over to the appellate court and all that. We got people to the Supreme Court, judges to the Supreme Court. That's really a feather in the cap of the Superior Court system.
It does speak well of our courts and what we've done in the past. And for those of you, Judge Cruz is going to have her investiture later this month, and we're sending out invitations. I hope those of you that can make it will make it to support her.
Well, Andy used to come here. And
the whole court's coming for oral arguments, and then Judge Cruz is having her investiture. So,
congratulations.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judge. Moving on to Clerk of Superior Court. Good morning.
Morning. Clerk of the clerk's office is satisfied with the recommendations of the BRT, and we didn't ask for a whole lot, and everything looks good for us. So
that's a whole lot. You didn't get a whole lot.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Up next, Juvenile Court. Morning, Edward.
Morning, Chairman, members of the board. On behalf of presiding juvenile court judge, R. Aaron Farrar, we're very appreciative of the BRT's recommendation. We're in full support, and we're confident that we're being provided the resources to continue to provide excellent service.
Any questions for Ed? Thank you. Thank you, Ed. Justice of the Peace.
Chairman Porches, members of the board, I thank you for the time to be here today, and especially the effort of the county administrator and the budget review team. Just here to address any questions you may have for Justice Courts Precinct 1, 2, and 3. I do want to express my appreciation to Mr. Hanna for the shout out for Veterans Treatment Court and the progress we've made in that program, and also for the work that's been done on the historic courthouse building. And just went and looked at it last night, looking forward to moving in there And that transition, no one really likes to move, but we're looking forward to moving there, so that's great. But I really have nothing else that I care to address, but any questions that you may have.
I just have one question, if we could digress just shortly to Judge Hawes. And I apologize, could have asked this earlier, but when we look at fines and forfeitures, and also in your court, how are those reinvested, or what do we do that? Does that all go to victims?
No, I think there are some statutes. I could give you a breakdown on all the
Okay.
assignment of fines and forfeitures. I can put together a memorandum that will explain that to you. Some are designated to go some places, some are general fund.
On a federal level, those are invested in the victims of crime advocates. And I just didn't understand what we did on a state or a county level or by state statute.
Every time I impose a sentence, there are two victim fees that are applied. So those definitely go to crime victims, but I have a Superior Court enhancement fee. I have victims' rights fees. Then, different offenses have certain mandatory fees and assessments and fines. There are not a lot of fines that are imposed unless they're mandatory fines. We found that they just simply are not collected, and they.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So we don't, from the Superior Court, we don't do a lot of fines. Some drug cases have a mandatory fine. DUIs have mandatory fines.
Mm-hmm.
I can try to get a breakdown on where those fines go, once they're collected, but I don't know that off the
If
top
you
of
could
my
do that,
head.
Judge, that would be great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't think, I suppose that the other judges aren't here because you represent them well, so congratulations.
I appreciate your
Somebody has to
comments.
stay in court, huh?
Anything else?
Thank you, Judge
Thank
Stewart.
you all for your time.
Thanks.
Moving on to adult probation.
Good morning, Chairman Porteous, members of the board. Mike Bird, Yuma County Adult Probation Chief. Very satisfied with the budget process again this year, very smooth. I'm here for any questions that you may have for me.
I have a comment. I think that departments are run very successful when you talk very little about them, and I didn't really talk about the adult probation department at all this year, so it must have been going pretty good.
We are doing pretty well with what we have in place. So we didn't have a big ask this year. We're trying to work within our means, trying to utilize funding that we have and work smarter with technology, readjust personnel so that as technology changes, we're addressing those data entry needs with folks that are focused on that role as opposed to the officers that are focused on changing the behavior in the community. So we've done really well with that. And just like take an opportunity to extend that we work with several of the other departments, whether it be facilities, IT, different folks. Kelly Frick, excuse me, recently. Everybody's just so very helpful in this county, and I appreciate the working relationship that we have with all these departments, and I'm very proud to work with this group. So,
well, thank you.
How are you doing with your probation officers? Are you able to keep them?
Probation officers are very difficult to maintain as far as the consistent hiring, the turnover. I think I'm speaking off the cuff here. I had HR run some numbers for me for officers that we've hired since 2019 when I became chief. And the ballpark figure that we have for training those has been about $1 million since 2019. So it's difficult to retain quality folks. When we have quality folks that stick around with us, most of those folks have some deep roots here, and they're really invested in the work that we do. Other folks already had plans to move forward from probation. This was their first career outside of college. So as they start to get established, they recognize, there's other locations that they can go and make some more money for the work that the effort of the work that they're doing. So, but don't get me wrong, we have a lot of quality folks. It's just trying to retain those folks so that we're not leveraging the folks that do have the roots and sticking around to continually being a training role where they can't just do their job.
Is that salary and benefits the problem, or is it just location?
I think it's a little bit of both. Certainly the salary, when you start looking comparatives against the Department of Corrections or DPS, some of those agencies, especially folks that don't require degrees when we're requiring that degree level, we're just not matching them. When you're looking at other counties, Maricopa County being self-funded, they're able to have lower caseloads, pay more money. So, it's very appealing to look elsewhere. But I do think that Yuma's growing. The location still presents a little bit of an issue, but I don't hear it so much. But drawing folks from other places to Yuma is difficult. We had a really good candidate about a month ago from Chicago, I want to say. She's looking to move to Arizona. She just wants to be in Arizona, tired of the cold. Offered her, and she said, no, money's not good enough. So I said, okay, understand. So.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Are you gonna go out there?
Do you want me to go up there? Or?
Yeah.
I got a big ask. Want to,
Be real fast.
Board of Supervisors.
Are you happy?
Well, not too happy, but
Better luck next year.
Have you talked to BRT?
Yeah.
What about HR?
I did ask BRT for chief of staff, but they denied it. I'm working on that.
Mr. Chairman, all other counties our size, everybody has
Their
a personal
own-
assistant, and we don't do that here in Yuma.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
Another sign of our efficiency.
Yes. When people come before us to say, hey, in other counties, they all have an assistant. In Yuma, we don't do it.
Next
And
year, put
Well,
that for next
most
year.
of you don't. I have Tony.
And they bring them to meetings.
And they bring them to meetings. Yeah.
I'm gonna work on that.
Yeah. That's not.
So he needs a buffer, so.
Ian loves doing everything for all of us.
Yeah, Desiree, thank you,
Big thanks to
Desiree.
Desiree.
Both Desirees, yes.
Desiree to both of them, but yeah, big thanks to them.
Desiree does everything for us.
Multiple hats.
So we're happy with their budget. Yeah, so.
We're not gonna ask for 5 FTEs just because other counties have them.
Yes.
Moving on to county administration, including communications, emergency management, grants, risk management, conflict administration, non-departmental, and elections. Ian?
Mr. Chairman, we're satisfied with our budget. If there's any division directors that have any comments, you're welcome to make them, but we're satisfied.
Good
Do
report.
it at your own risk.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Human resources?
Good morning, Chairman Porches, members of the board. Jessica Rodriguez, Human Resources Director. I stand here just to express gratitude for all of the support that you guys have provided, and Ian and his team and the investments that we have made over the last 12 months. And we are going to continue to make investments in our professional development and our retention and recruitment tools. So I just would like to say thank you for all of your support. And I stand for any questions.
Can you add policies?
I'm working on those right now. Actually, I'll be here in a couple of weeks presenting Chapter 2 to you.
All right. Thank you.
I just want to say, I've had nothing but good experiences with the department, so.
Yes, keep up the good work.
Thank you so much for your feedback.
Thank you, Jessica.
Okay.
Public fiduciary?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, BRT. Thank you for our budget, and I don't have any questions unless you have any questions for me.
I have two questions. Maybe you need a question for the comments, but there was some time that we were thinking about a cemetery. I remember we were talking to either Bureau Land Management or, and then it sort of squeezed into a smaller.
Indigent.
Indigent. I was talking indigent burial. And we squeezed into a smaller, I guess, footprint. And then all the land that we talked about, those acres we talked about, were never really gotten to a point where we're talking about negotiating with.
I know that engineering has been working on trying with Bureau of Land Management with reference to that.
Bureau of Land Management.
Yes, but there still hasn't been any response on that. And we are still working under the columbarium that we have with, by DDD, by DDS. And we still have plenty of space in that columbarium to manage the needs of the community at this time.
But we don't need to continue with that request or land.
As far as pushing it right now, no. We're okay. but it's something that eventually we will be needing. I don't know how long it would take with Bureau of Land Management to actually.
Takes an act of Congress, which
Yes.
sometimes takes forever.
Takes a long
So,
time,
you
so I know
if
that
you
the
guys are
process
gonna
was
do
still,
some-
we're still moving forward, but I know it's a very slow process.
I don't know how long we could live to see that day that we actually manage to control some place, so we can, a burial location.
Correct.
But I'd suggest that you don't quit doing it.
Oh, no.
Because
We're
that
still
takes-
following up on
takes a
that,
long
yes.
time. When we say an act of Congress, it means it takes a long time to deal with the federal government.
I understand, yeah.
Especially considering the fact that people move on and projects stay. So please keep an eye on it.
I will.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for what you do.
Health District, Diane.
Oh, time's up.
Good morning, Diane Gomez, Director of Public Health. We are happy with the BRT's recommendation, and I'm here to answer any questions.
How's your tax setup? I mean, is it okay?
Grants and.
Oh, our grants. So if you look at we're eliminating certain positions. Those are some grant positions. Historically, we would be very confident that we would be able to pursue additional grants to supplement those. We're eliminating those because that's incredibly unlikely. So we're bracing ourselves. We're cleaning up those positions, which is what you're seeing deducted in the books. As you can see by our budget, approximately 50% has been subsidized by grant funds. And so that's translated to a savings to the taxpayers all those years. So we've been very successful in being able to procure that. That's a combination of federal grants, state pass-through grants, and then additional competitive grants that we have sought out independently. And because those are competitive, those were the ones that we were awarded, particularly because of our track record and the work that we were doing. So we're taking a significant hit for that, but we're bracing ourselves and evaluating our path moving forward. So that is we might have to revisit that. But right now, what we're doing is just making sure that we are, just maximizing what we have and evaluating everything we can to make sure we make the most efficient use of resources with the funding that we have.
The health department still managing the not humane society, but the control. Animal control.
So animal control right now is under the health department, and so we have the enforcement piece, and then again the rabies control piece. So the rabies control officer, and then with the enforcement piece comes the enforcement of the ordinance that was established by the board, as well as kenneling that comes with it, because if we have dogs at large, that goes into the kenneling by the Humane Society. So that is a portion that we're still overseeing that.
I know I became famous for saying I ran over some cats, and so I was asked this morning if I ran over any cats. No, but I mean the feral cat population is an issue that is going to come back and bite us, for lack of a better expression. It's not like a dog thing, but it's a cat thing. I just want to give you a heads up that I'll be looking at doing something that allows us to count with the support of the public, but at the same time don't rely on the public to solve that particular problem in some particular areas where they're overwhelmed. I don't think they understand the concept of spaying, stopping and staying and bringing. You have to lend them a cage. It works in some areas where people are willing to work, and in other areas people just seem to think that that's kind of our job to do.
Right,
So-
and they're free roaming animals, so by statute, that's why you have a high feral cat population. And I know that, you've had meetings, Supervisor Pancrazzi and Supervisor Simmons, and we've met with the public. You're right, Supervisor Reyes, people aren't aware of the spay and neuter programs. It's something that the Humane Society actively promotes. We've tried to promote it as well. We go after grant funding to be able to provide, so the city of Yuma does as well. If you live in the unincorporated areas of Yuma County, you're eligible for those grants. And it provides it covers the cost of the surgery. And so again, we want to promote that as responsible ownership with the feral cat colonies. Sometimes they're taken back to the Humane Society, they're spayed, they're brought back, their ears are clipped so that you can identify that those cats have been spayed or neutered. And what happens is those cats keep other cats from moving in. If you just remove the cat, another cat will come and take in its place, and then they have litters. So the spay and neuter and having those colonies is actually protective. And I know they can be really irritating. There's things you can do to keep them out of your yards, but those feral cats also provide another service by taking care of other bugs and vermins and rodents that you don't want in your house. So they need to be controlled, education needs to continue, and we need to support that spay and neuter program.
I think education is a key factor
Right.
that I think we need to make sure that everybody sees that on TV and sees that on the papers and sees that on social media. So that it's like security. I mean, people need to understand security is something that you do in conjunction with the law enforcement agency. It can't be done by the law enforcement agency alone. I think the spay and neuter program is one of those situations where the population, general population, thinks it's like our responsibility, and I think it's our responsibility, meaning them too. But sometimes that's missed. The message is mixed. And when you have someone feeding cats in the neighborhood, they don't understand they're creating a situation for the rest of the neighborhood. So anyway,
I think we can look into it and really work with something out with the entities around within the county. So.
Excuse me, don't we have an ordinance that unless you're willing to spay and neuter those, that you're not supposed to feed them?
You're not supposed to feed them. But again, people see your compassion takes over. It's a very emotional, topic. You see the cat. But again, education and supporting the spay and neuter programs and making sure that people know they're available. You can have the best program in the world, and if people don't know it exists, they're not going to access it. So making sure there's awareness.
They did 230 spades and neuters the last time they had a spade and neuter on a Saturday and Sunday. So, yeah, the effort is out there that they're trying to make to control the issues. So.
But it's also having the vets and the money to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is. Yeah.
So maybe it's just a sort of a forward warning, if you want to call it, that we need to start looking into more funds to do that, especially some programs that we can handle, because essentially it's one of those constituency services that people expect us to do without really knowing the facts. Okay, that's enough.
Okay. Any other questions?
Okay with your budget?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana.
Thanks, Dan.
Was that on the agenda?
Nope.
Library.
Next victim.
Next victim.
Good morning, Chairman Borges.
Good morning.
I'm Ashley Jones, Library Director. I want to start off by saying that I'm very appreciative of being able to be one of those rotating members on the BRT this year. I've learned a great deal about county operations, and so I'm very fortunate to have had that opportunity. Like the health department, federal funding for libraries is very much in jeopardy right now. So that is a large sum of money that we are uncertain on whether or not that is going to come our way. So we are being very conservative with our budget and managing our budget very well to make sure that we can fill that gap if need be at that situation were to come up. Outside of that, we're happy with our budget and content with the decisions that have been made. But I'm here for any questions.
The only question I have, you do understand what the recession set aside is for?
Yes, sir.
And obviously that's like a carryover every year for a while. And
Right.
So I just wanted to get a sense of it, if those departments, if those districts really understand what that retention money is. Because it's part of a contingency. It's part of the reserve. It should be. So I just want to know you understand what it's like, what it's for, right? It's for those tough times that we cannot predict.
Yes, sir. I do understand that, and that's something that I talked through with OMB this year as we were making that decision as a whole, and so I do understand that
Yours
is
is
set
a
aside
large
for that.
percentage.
Say that again?
Yours is a large percentage of your budget.
It is. We are looking at potentially expanding the Foothills location in the next few years. That's going to come with some difficulties because of the land that is currently there. We're going to have to potentially move forward with purchasing that land from the county. So we are being mindful of that as well. The Foothills is growing astronomically, and that facility is already too small for the community that's there. And so the community battles frequently for the spaces and things like that. So we do know that that facility is going to need a major expansion here in the very near future.
It's an identity crisis, as I see it sometimes, with these libraries being in San Luis or Somerton or Foothills or Welton. I mean, the Foothills I can see because it's an unincorporated area. But the people assume that the library in San Luis is from San Luis, and the one in Somerton is the Somerton Library, and the one in Welton is from Welton. It isn't. They're all county libraries.
About the one in Yuma.
The one in Yuma is also a county library. forgot to mention you.
Two in
The
Yuma.
two in Yuma, your county library.
And Roland Dateland.
And Roland Dateland, yeah. No, I just want to make sure that when you're thinking about upgrades and expansion, that happens to be Somerton, that happens to be in Wilton, that happens to be in Roll, or that happens to be in San Luis, or that. The Foothills one is the one that gets a lot of the attention in the news media because it is in the Foothills, and the Foothills is incorporated. But there pretty soon be one in the Martinez Lake area, and your area is an expanding area.
The Foothills is our second busiest location out of all of the libraries that we have. So it has the highest number outside of the main library. It has the highest number of foot patrons as well as circulation. And so the numbers themselves show that that facility is going to have to be expanded.
The older generation, they still use a lot of libraries. Good.
Libraries in general are coming back. The younger generation is more into physical items versus digital items. They like the feel and the nature of having actual physical books versus digital books. And so libraries are making a huge comeback. And as I've told you before, libraries are also transitioning into better ways to serve the community, such as the Seed Library and things of that nature. So we're constantly looking at ways to expand those services to the community to help meet those gaps.
Pleased with your budget.
Yes, I am pleased with our budget. Yes.
And we are pleased with your budget.
Okay, that's good too.
Yeah, Ashley.
Thank you very much.
Housing,
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Jesus Roldan, Yuma County Housing Department. We're satisfied with the budget, so if you have any questions, please.
sir?
Just comment. Again, it's one of those issues where if you don't hear from it, it's better because it really is run well. I want to commend you and your team for doing a good job, an excellent job of keeping. I mean, housing is a big issue that a lot of people do not understand, but the multifamily section that we have, combined with the grant section that we have here, have done an excellent job of making sure it isn't a really pressing issue in the county. It may still be one, but every city is handling it differently. And I think Somerton's doing a good job. I'm not going to go into San Luis or other places, but I want to commend you and your team for keeping that situation stable and that situation that really I heard no complaints. You handled the Section 8 process pretty well. So thank you for doing a good job.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that.
Jesus, I have a question. A lot of your funding is federal. Are you finding cuts?
At this time, everything is good. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's going to be new things that they want to be proposed, but at this time, I have not anything that is.
Great.
Yeah, but I mean, of course, for next fiscal year,
Who knows?
or next calendar, I don't know. But I mean, just. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Moving on to legal defender. Bill.
These pretzels.
Bill Fox.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Bill Fox, legal defender. We're satisfied or happy with our budget and open for any questions that you may have.
Questions? Oh, thank you, Bill.
All right. Thank you.
I don't know what basketball team he belonged to, but.
Thank you. Financial services.
Oh, good. Hi.
Morning, Chairman Porches, members of the board, Leo Tannery, Deputy CFO. The Finance Department is satisfied with BRT's recommendation for this year's budget or for fiscal year 25-26 budget, and I'm open to answer any questions you may have.
Is the process of asking the different improvement districts working out for you guys? I mean, you get everybody responding. I mean, I know I've seen the team here, but I mean, for a while there was a lot of time issues where people were not responding in time. You couldn't put them in the books, and they waited too long, and we had to adapt later on. That's over with, right? Over the last few years, I haven't seen any of these issues pop up.
As far as I understand it, Supervisor Reyes, it hasn't been an issue. It all comes down to how the items are submitted, of course. It's a timing issue when it comes to that, how the information is then relayed down to the Financial Services Department, whether it's to set up the new, the actual fund in our accounting system. But part of our review is to make sure that those items have been properly presented to you all for approval.
Right. The reason I bring it up is Yuma County happens to have one of the largest numbers of improvement districts in the state.
More than the state combined.
Combined. And that's because the different communities have gotten into this improvement district situation to manage their lights, their water, their sewer. And they create these districts because it's simpler, but they don't understand. They just add more administrative weight to us. You know,
the county started it.
I know. But the county doesn't have, improvement districts for those type of things.
For lights.
We have almost 200, Tony.
I know we have a lot.
Are there any that are outdated that we can eliminate?
So to answer your question, Supervisor Lines, I know right now for the current fiscal year, we roughly have, I think it's 160 active improvement districts. So as far as those that are inactive, we would just have to go back and review. I believe there's a time frame that we usually wait before we want to close out any funds or any of the improvement districts themselves. We have to make sure that there's no outstanding activity, you know, any expenses, anything that could later affect their general fund if funds need to be used to cover any, like I said, outstanding liabilities on that.
And Gadsden is one of those prime examples that Gadsden has an improvement district for their sewer that I'm sure it's getting close to it, so it isn't ready yet to disappear pretty soon. And that is just one example. When you say the county invented it, I think the county started it.
Lighting districts go on
That was before my
forever.
time. It was like in the 30s and 40s.
Cities didn't start looking into districts until probably late 90s or, yeah.
I'm not a fan, but let's put it that way. I think that the cities and the counties have some.
But you haven't heard from them for 2 years, so they're doing good.
Yeah.
You say I'm not a fan, I'm not a fan. But, you know, I do believe that there's a management issue that you'd rather have a challenge that you don't. I mean, but 160 improvement districts that you have to manage is a big number.
It is a lot of effort put in by staff and our superintendent of streets, public works, and when they work together, they have great relationship. But it all comes down to the work that gets put into an effort into these improvement districts, just managing and.
Don't lighting districts go on forever because APS manages those and makes sure that the lights are on and the poles are good and all that kind of stuff? So those districts, lighting districts.
If they're in a district, they'll be there
forever. That's what I thought. Okay. I just wanted to confirm.
So.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Lou. Thank you. ITS. Cliff.
Time's up.
Good morning, Chairman.
Good morning.
Vice Chair, Board, Cliff Summers, Chief Information Officer, Yuma County, along with Deputy Chief Information Officer, Jesus Cervantes. We're here to answer any questions you may have.
Happy with you?
Good. You're good.
Our budget's acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Public Works. We got Kelly Santos.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Kelly Fricky with Public Works.
Good
I just
morning.
want to say thank you to Ian and the BRT for their support and their guidance through the whole process, and to you, the board, for your support. Public Works is satisfied with our budget. So.
Good to take care of all the roads and everything.
Never, but try, huh?
Thank you, Kelly. Before Tony asks about the tires, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I like the concept.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, Santos.
DDS.
Morning, Craig Sellers. Just like to say we're happy with the proposed budget.
Any questions?
No.
Thank you,
No.
Craig. Thank you. Being that it's week of all the facilities management.
Chairman Porges, members of the board, Tiffany Anderson, Facilities Management Director. Thanks to the budget review team, as always. As a department, we submitted, I think, over $7 million in project requests, which is a huge ask, and they were very thoughtful in their decisions. So we are satisfied with the projects that are being recommended for next year. And we plan on developing those outer years to give not only county administration, but also this board a better idea of what to expect on our capital needs. With that, I stand for any questions.
Keep up the good work. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I want to thank you for, all that information that we get that for the upcoming
Yes.
years, that what we need. I think that's, like I mentioned yesterday about, a plan for the future. I think facilities, especially with the buildings that are out there aged. Yeah, I know we're getting a new building, and eventually you'll get a new building, ITE, ITS, the management, the
Public work, no.
no, over there by the Public Works building.
Emergency
Emergency.
management. Thank you.
Emergency management. So, but we still have buildings, like we just heard the sheriff, about the building, the jail.
Aging.
So something to keep in mind, and maybe start putting some money away to improve them. Because if not, when we get it at once, then it hurts more.
Let me tell
It
you,
makes it so.
if we wait any longer than we should, it's just gonna go up in price. That's been my experience throughout the years. That the longer you wait to fix a problem, it's better to, we have aging programs for refrigerators, for computers. We got this situation set up so that we know that they need to be replaced, vehicles. We need to start looking at that with buildings, because buildings have a useful life, and then they start giving you too many troubles. So it's wise to look at a long-range
Maybe
plan.
we look at an equipment district.
No.
Uh-huh.
Kind of like across the street
We look
was.
at bonds and get it over with. Look, we float the bones now. And
Let's
we don't
finish
take
paying
it
off
to get
PSPRS before we
We start
start
paying
another
what?
one.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you.
Thank you.
Equipment district, just bought it.
We can't have too many bonds out there.
Engineering.
The rate goes down.
Yeah. Frank, good morning.
Good morning,
You have
Frank.
no budget in the flood control. You're gonna finish that. Go further.
Department of Engineering Director. Thank you, board, for your support this year. We were able to accomplish or actually complete a lot of projects this fiscal year, and we're very pleased with our budget. Moving on to fiscal year 26. I do have a couple slides. They're going to be very brief. Just highlighting a couple of the projects that we did this year and the ones we have programmed for next fiscal year.
Park.
The Greg Ferguson volleyball.
So the HERF CIP budget, we're looking at about $4.3 million in capital improvement projects. And the flood control CIP budget, we're looking at about $8.75 million for fiscal year 26. As I said, I want to say thank you for giving us the funds necessary to complete all these projects in fiscal year 2025. Just highlighting a couple of the projects. North Frontage Road, we completed that project this fiscal year. Turned out real nice. We did another big project was the Highway 95 mill and fill. We completed that with the state funding plus the allocation of ARPA funds that the board awarded. And continuing on the ARPA funding, we did complete County 6th Street paving from 33E to 35E. That was just recently completed. And we're about 80% complete on the Antelope Palomas low flow crossing phase 2. We anticipate that'll be completed at the end of this month. And we have some additional projects there that we've also completed. A couple HSIP projects that we anticipate also completing this fiscal year, the County 19th and Avenue G rumble strip installation and the pavement markings upgrade on several county roadways. Those are HSIP projects that have been awarded, and they anticipate starting here shortly.
You know, I've never in my life appreciated rumble strips as I do now. They get older. Those rumble strips are necessary.
Absolutely.
They may be a bothersome thing, but they're necessary.
So going on to fiscal year 26, the federally funded projects that we have, you can see a lot of projects here, a lot of HSIP funding on these projects. With that, the costs are, estimated costs are coming in over budget, so we have to account for anything over the budget amount. So just a couple highlights: the County 11th Street and Avenue G curve realignment. That project is currently scheduled to bid this month, so that should start shortly, probably in July or August. 14th Street and Avenue 4E intersection widening and traffic signal. That project is currently out to bid, and bids open on June 6th. That's also scheduled for fiscal year 26 construction. A project that you're very familiar with, the Avenue E State Route 95 to Highway 95 corridor. We're continuing the design. We're getting close to finalizing the full design for this project.
Good.
The design was paid by the Arizona Smart Fund grant that we received, and staff is working or has worked with grants to submit the raise grant application this year. We haven't had the results yet. We anticipate those coming in probably in a month or two. So we're keeping our fingers crossed there that we might be able to get some money there. And then just the Avenue B and Avenue G.
And before you leave that, you know, there's been a lot of development in the areas that this road's supposed to go into. I mean, with this palm trees, date trees, big palm trees. I mean, if you look at where it was before, and you could go straight on Avenue E and straight out there, you can't anymore unless you take out.
They got the design already there.
They got the design. Well, what I'm saying is, look, years ago that was a design that was kind of clear. As time goes on, it keeps those date palm trees keep moving east and keep moving your project east. Just be careful that we don't end up doing some condemnation instead of purchasing.
And that's part of the. I just did. That's part of the project development is the right-of-way acquisitions. We need those funds to initiate the right-of-way acquisition. So right now there are no trees. There's an orchard there by County 18th and Half Street, but that's been there from the very beginning.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is sometimes we do projects that are big in scope. Like this one's a big project, it's a $25 million project. But the need to purchase a right-of-way with funds before it becomes an issue, it moves your whole project up, move it east. It'd be wise to take a look at, okay, look, if we can't get the $25 million to do the whole thing, maybe we can find a way to purchase the right-of-way so that we have the right-of-way when that project happens and it doesn't become an issue of moving it someplace else or redesigning it. I'm just bringing that because it's a good way to, it's a good way to make sure that when you come up with the funds to do it, you can actually do it where you plan to do it instead of moving it up.
Correct. And that is our plan. I understand where you're coming from, Supervisor Reyes. We do have some money budgeted in fiscal year 27 and 28 for right-of-way acquisition, so we can start acquiring that with the hopes that eventually that we'd get the entire project funded federally.
Thanks. I needed to hear that. I just wasn't aware that we were doing anything.
Well, I also too want to start looking towards East County for projects because we're running out of room this side of the mountain, and I'd rather be ahead of the game than behind when we have to start dealing with road issues and stuff as it starts to grow out that way.
We are running out of room on this
Mr. Chairman,
side.
and Frank, one of the fastest growing areas is that area between the foothills. on County 14th. We have any long-term plans for connecting County 13th to 6E on that corridor?
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
dirt road right now.
Out by Walmart, out in that area.
County 14th.
County 14th Street. The county had a project long time ago
Right.
to punch that road through. Half of that road from 7E to 10E is in the city of Yuma. From 10E to 13E, which would connect to Foothills Boulevard, that's in the county. We designed the project. We acquired the right-of-way within our limits. However, there was a point where the city backed out and said, that's not our priority right now. Their priority was County 12th Street. They've since reached out to us, and they've expressed interest in getting that connection built. So we have the right-of-way. We have some, I guess now, preliminary plans that we'd have to go back and take a look at. But we would be agreeable if they're interested in punching that road through.
Well, I think that we need to probably, Mr. Chairman, maybe recommend another feasibility study or approach, or just get together with them, just because every time we propose something, a change of land use in the foothills or in those areas, we are met with resistance because of the traffic.
Yeah.
And that would alleviate maybe 25 to 50% of the traffic in that area.
It would be going around.
Because then they would be coming back towards that area and then heading back.
Well, we're also still working with 40th Street. If we could get that punched through to 8.5, that would be another avenue. So kind of a relief valve, as well as 13th or 14th. It was Rydell's.
That was the city's concept, was to alleviate some of that traffic, let's punch County 12th Street. But since then, the city engineer, Dave Wassenberg, has reached out and said, hey, what about if we look into punching this road through? And like I said, we have the right-of-way completed. We acquired it from state land. And so we're, as long as that they're on board, I think per the board's direction.
If we could tie in 13th to 195, I think that solves. Or
13th, 14th.
On 14th, but from County 13th, yeah. That alleviates a lot of stress on the foothills.
Yeah.
And with Rydell's subdivision going in there, that's going to put, well,
Even more
13th in
stress.
somewhat, but it'll also bring Fortuna down closer to County 14th.
Correct, and there's a lot new developments going on there just south of 40th Street along Fortuna.
With those solar farms, then we've got to come around them now, and there's no real way to punch through there. So we've got to be.
They're still north of County 14th and in between
You're looking at the
Fortuna and
map.
Foothills, so
That's
those
the only
roads, those
way,
avenues are
'cause
still
that's
open.
all solar.
Well,
What
I
a
mean,
waste.
as long as Frank can continue those conversations with the city and then also, us maybe talking with, letting the mayor know how, the issues we're getting from those residents, because I'm pretty sure they don't hear them. People don't come all the way to the city of Yuma from the foothills for the meetings anyway, so.
That's correct, and I'll reach out to Dave also and let him know the board's interest on revitalizing this project. Okay, and flood control project highlights.
I was ambushed by residents yesterday on Smucker Park.
Ambushed?
Oh, I hear it all the time.
We're working to a solution to return that as you know, to return that park to the public. We just got our construction crew or administration of construction staff in there to take over the construction administration of the project. They're on site. We're working with ADWR to, remove the jurisdictional label on the project so that we can just move forward and build a smaller basin to accommodate the flows that currently go in there. So we've estimated about $5 million to complete that whole process. With that, with the redefining that those limits of the basin, we're also able to budget a project out in Welton, the Welton area drainage improvements phase 1. and that project has been designed. It's ready to go to bid. So in July, August, we'll be taking that out to bid for construction. A couple other little projects
Frank.
I'm sorry?
I've always been a little concerned that the city of Yuma, look, we're government entities. We should be ready because they're going to make a claim. They're going to make a claim for damages. You're working with them on it. I just don't see any set-asides. It's going to flow into us, into the Board of Supervisors.
He told us last time.
Yeah,
There's
we know
money,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, they're good.
There's.
Okay, they're good doesn't sound good to me.
No,
What would sound good to me would be for you to set aside some funds
There is.
for legal,
There is, wow.
for legal.
We can
Right.
get that, yeah.
You set aside for construction.
There is some funds there, Supervisor Reyes. As mentioned, we'll work with the city. We did say that, hey, any savings to the project would turn around and provide to the city in terms of basin acquisitions in the future or studies up on the mesa, that we turn around and do that for them. So there is some money set aside there for that.
I remember that explanation. I happen to believe that you get ready for the worst and hope for the best. But in this situation between the city and the county, that has been a project that's been going on for like years. I mean, I'm talking decades now.
Well, Supervisor, having discussions with the contractor, with this redesign of the basin, they expect to have that project completed in July. So
Have the park back up and everything. Cool.
Back up.
So,
July, I personally think it'll be more like August, but they think they can get it done in July. So
This summer.
This July.
This summer, so just put it that way.
Right, got it.
Okay. And then we're also working on going to get a design going on the Atlantic Avenue area drainage improvements. That's that industrial subdivisions out there by Highway 95 and Avenue 2E or Pacific Avenue. So we'll get that study going on fiscal year 26.
The drainage area, I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
On the overpass out near, between 32nd and Gila Ridge Road.
On 3?
On
Frontage Road on south of the interstate?
So north of Walmart in the foothills. Is that a retention area, a detention area?
Yes.
That we manage?
That big hole
big
in the ground.
retention basin or that.
North of Walmart where the overpass is.
It's east of the water treatment plant, or west of the water treatment plant there, the big pit.
It's where we,
That's AWC's, isn't it? That's,
Where they got all the dirt to make the overpass there.
yeah.
Okay, that might be ADOT jurisdiction, as they own the interchange.
Okay.
And if not, then it would be the city because they've annexed pretty much all the way up to.
But it's not part of our flood control in any way.
No, I mean the flood control district covers even within the city of Yuma, but there are no projects that are currently identified.
Mr. Chairman. You didn't mention my rumble strips from B to C. Those are still in plan.
It was such a small project that I didn't include it, but yes,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
There's speed cushions.
Yes, speed, yes.
Yes.
Speed cushions,
Yeah.
thank you.
We're proceeding with that project.
Thank you, I know it's a little one, but.
Any questions?
Okay with your budget? I'm okay with your budget.
We're okay. Supervisor Lyons, if you want to get with me later.
I'm gonna look that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I want to throw something out there. It's I know it's always we'll hear it from the finance or the budget team, probably every city, that it's not good to bond road work. But as Tony mentioned just a while ago, things are getting more expensive. The 4.3 or 4.5, you said 4.5 million from HERF, is that it's invested in the roads?
That 4.3 is 4.3 million that we're using to actually build projects. That doesn't that does not include the salaries or supplies, and so
I thought
that's just 4.3 million in actual
And it's not for
construction.
It's not, it's just construction, okay.
It's not for
So, and
maintenance,
that's
yeah.
pretty typical what we get every year?
It ranges between $3.5 to $4.5 million. It's a joint budget between Public Works and ourselves. So there's some years that Public Works has some higher priorities that they take a little bit more money, and then there's some years that we might have a little bit more priorities on projects, and we take a little bit more. So it varies.
And
Need a half.
what do you see as material for roads? Getting more expensive? Obviously, they're not gonna get cheaper, but I mean, are they gonna get stable or?
I don't see any inclination that it's leveling at all.
Trump.
I mean, a couple years ago, we could do a traffic signal, fairly funded traffic signal for about $400,000 or $500,000. Right now, these traffic signals are coming in at about $1.3 million. Just a traffic signal.
Yeah.
Inflation. I'm just kidding. It can't be.
No,
They're very complicated. The traffic signals that we have today are not comparable. Because some of them have like.
The uncertainty that we hear with all the things that are going up, metal and all that. I mean, obviously, I think it's gonna continue to rise, go up. I know we've been talking about the road tax, half-century transportation. I think if that goes through, I'm not talking maybe if it's out there in 2 years or that it goes. I think we really need to consider borrowing money and invest it in roads, because it's gonna be in using that money to pay it, because if it's costing us $1.5 million right now for a traffic light, I guarantee you in 5-6 years it's gonna be pretty much $2 million. We really need to start considering, because I think you can go longer, do something cheaper at that time than waiting every year and say, well, it went up $500,000 or $1 million, so we need to find the money. And
Mr.
so
Chair,
just
0.5 cent sales tax sent to the voters.
yeah, that's on the transportation deal. So
That's before we do bonding.
Put things in perspective. Obviously, we get funded through the gas tax, which has not been increased in close to 30 years. So it's hard to build and maintain an infrastructure with the same revenue that you were getting 30 years ago. So there's a plug for a 0.5 cent sales tax that it really is needed.
Well, County 6, they just did. That was 2 miles of road. That was $1.3 million.
Which a couple years ago, we could have done that for like 600,000.
Just something to consider. I know I was criticized a lot when I got into the city council in Somerton, and I proposed that. And it did. We sent it out to the voters. It did pass, but at that time we borrowed $7 million, and we pretty much did almost every street around the city. If we would have waited, it'll probably be only a couple of streets with that money. So it does, and they're about to. I think they paid it off already. So it's something to think about. I know Tony doesn't like to borrow money.
I think it's a good investment when you do something like that. That's why the pension plan worked out, because we spread it out. We saved ourselves a lot of money, and by actually paying it off like that. at the end of the day, I do believe that maybe we ought to start thinking about road construction as an investment in the future when we see the kind of increases that's facing us. So no, I don't disagree that that's a way to do it. I just have to question the wisdom of investing in it until we talk about it, because we need to define which. Look, this is a very large county. It's got a lot of unimproved roads. Deciding which roads to improve, which ones to put in the
CIP.
The CIP, with the city of Yuma, the city of San Luis, and Somerton, and Welton, and all those cities growing and taking more and more. It's going to be a little difficult to decide which ones, but I think it's a good investment. No, I wouldn't shy away from looking at doing some streets. We have to just balance it, and it's going to end up. A lot of them are going to end up on the outskirts of cities, because that's it's some of you like Supervisor Lyons and Supervisor Pancras. You live in pretty well developed areas already. So when we talk about going out to bond, we're talking about going out to bond that connects those cities with other cities.
But I live off Araby Road,
That's
and
what
I
I'm
see
saying.
that traffic that's coming right there, and to be able to alleviate that. Every time there's an accident on the foothills, every time there's an accident on the interstate, the foothills is shut down.
Mhm.
There is no.
Well, the only access to the foothills is the interstate. The frontage roads are 95 right now. That's it.
And we had a couple situations this year where the train was shut down, and we had an accident on the interstate, and the entire foothills was paralyzed for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Nothing was able to move, and so our emergency services was not able to respond.
Choosing which roads is going to be a task, but I think that the idea of doing that is not a bad idea.
Oh, yeah, I think that will definitely be a challenge, but I mean, I think that's why we have engineers.
Thank you.
And that growth area.
Sleep well tonight, but don't.
I have county island areas right inside of the city of Yuma that are not paved. So, just for everybody's information.
But
So we can get you both.
the next growth.
And with my roundabouts, Tony, coming off the interstate, you weren't able to cross Araby.
Those growth areas that are going to be between
There you go,
12th and
Josh. One more.
14th, east of
Keep
10.
going, Frank, you better, this.
That's the longest budget presentation of anybody.
Thank you, Frank.
Where's the money?
Where's Miguel? Where's Miguel?
Thank you, Frank, for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank
Frank,
Where's the money?
Frank, one more question. On the
Okay with your
issue or concern that we had, are you taking care of that? Just yes or no, a meeting?
The executive meeting.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, got it.
Can you go into further, remind me? Let's delve into it. I'm just kidding.
Mr. Chair, we do have the interactive budget summary or the long-range financial forecast available if the board wishes to see either or both of those.
Yes.
Well, we talked about it yesterday, about the fact that we have to start looking at, if we want to be able to cover the future, I think we need to take a look at what we're doing right now and what happens 10 years from now.
0.01.
Okay, we'll pull up that long-range forecast.
I think we need to do that, at least look at it so that at least we plant a seed. I don't think it may need action right now, but it needs to be in the mind of people when we do budgeting. This is a very difficult year to do budgeting. So many unknowns. We may not get a chance to do it anyway. Considering the way that the state keeps pushing stuff on us, as an arm of the state, considering the fact that the federal government's getting out of the business of helping out, that may create a different situation where we have to rely more on what we do.
So, Mr. Chair and members of the board, this shows a 10-year projection out from where we are now. Also, you have some history there. And what Tony Struck can do is plug in different factors such as potential tax rate changes, even adding FTEs, the impact of that over time. So I will hand it over to Tony, and any questions or things you'd like to see, he's happy to implement.
But it's inevitable that we'll have FTEs. So I think we had to consider that right now, because the presentation that the county attorney did, the whole presentation was about, hey guys, I mean, we're okay right now, but it won't be for long.
I mean, what's the average every year? I mean, I think we get 4 or 5 or maybe 6.
In terms of adding new
Yeah.
FTEs, yeah, I think historically it's probably been about 4 or 5 that we've added a year. I think last year was pretty small, maybe just a couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first year in recent memory that there's been no new FTEs.
Yeah, because I'm,
Of what adding, 5 in a year might be. Tony can
One-
plug that in right now, just
one
to see.
one thing that I was, since when I started in the county, but there was almost one department, not to throw stones over here for HR, but HR almost every year wanted an employee. At least that's what I remember. So, it's kind of, we gotta, yeah, it's changed, but, we gotta look at that when it's only one department every other year, or they're asking for employees.
Spread the wealth.
Right, yeah. Or something's wrong.
Countywide, I mean, I think the sheriff's department is going to be pressured for new officers every year, and I think that's.
Probation,
I think the
no
probation.
probation.
I mean, I think we need to assume that there will be some, not the same.
That's not the, I mean, I think, obviously, we want a community that is safe, and we want, that service right away, so we do really need to think of, if there's officers that are needed, then, yeah.
But
need
we've
to-
also got to look at Public Works, because we're wanting to add to their workload.
Yeah.
So we're going to have more equipment to maintain the roads we're putting in, and the rate
We're
of
putting in
travel.
new roads, so.
There's no
I need
question.
to-
One thing that I do really, want to emphasize, because PILT, and we use PILT for employees, and that's a big chunk of money if it gets cut or we don't get it at all. So, and I know we have reserves, but
That's $5 million off the top.
yeah, how long can we do that?
Mhm.
So we really need to, at least this next couple years, we really want to be careful, because if PILT goes away, just so that staff is aware, and because this is an uncertainty that we might not get it, but we want to be ready.
And if Secure Rural Schools is not funded, then we'll be sharing that PILT with those counties that do get Secure Rural Schools. They haven't taken their PILT, and they will be taking their PILT.
What bill?
So that will lower the amount we get, even if we do
What
get
bill
PILT.
would they be taking?
So, Mr. Chairman, I think if we can plug in 5 new employees for fiscal year 26, 27, just to see, this is at the average salary with EREs, employee-related expenses, and you will see the impact of that in those 5. And you see just 5 new employees dips it down significantly into years, 5 through 10.
What would we have to do to counter that, though, to keep the line up?
There's really 2 ways to counter. One is to raise revenue, and the other is to lower expenses. And of course, the board has expressed interest in working smarter, working leaner, and finding ways to do that. And that's our current marching orders. But also, if you added maybe, as you mentioned yesterday, Supervisor Reyes, a 1 cent increase to the general fund tax rate, we can see what that might look like.
Correct, and so that's, in that, I just added the 1 cent increase over the next 4 years to show how that brought the fund balance up. If you added a cent per year through the 10 years, that's 1 cent. It would stabilize that over time. Realize we did decrease the tax rate by 8.7 cents 2 years ago, so in order to recap that, it takes 8 years, a little over 8 years to get back to that amount. An amount like a penny and a half. Oops.
Have you considered the?
You gotta double.
I mean, look.
Don't like that.
Hold on.
Have you considered the impact that new construction will have on the budget at all? I mean, some of the stuff that's coming up, some of the solar stuff that's coming up is pretty huge.
Yeah. Well, and all the new subdivisions going in out east. I mean, you've got 6 subdivisions
the state is
going
selling
in.
it's leasing 1,410 acres on May 21st, my birthday. Leasing it to some company that's going to build a solar panel. I mean,
Tony, what does that look like with a 0.15, a 1.5?
Oh, okay. Because I think that's what's been keeping us afloat all the time, the new construction and stuff that we can't really truly predict. I mean, the county is going through a growth spurt. If it happens in San Luis, if it happens in Somerton, if it happens in the foothills, if it happens in the we're still going through a growth spurt, which has been keeping us afloat by keeping us below the maximum. And we don't do the maximum. I don't remember ever doing the maximum until, I mean, before 2015.
It's going to take a combination of all, those three things, but just to be prepared and continue. I think if doing a combination, saving or being.
Just be cognizant that you cannot have, you have this loop, this cycles of progress and improvements, and then you have a cycle of sort of depression type of situation, recession type situation, where you have to be ready for that. When you're actually doing good is when you think about those times. I mean, that's been my motto forever. You can't deal with the problem once the problem is on top of you. Then you have to. It's an emergency now. But if you prevent it from happening, if you make the right moves, you may be able to delay that forever. I mean, as long as you take up, and I think I heard conservative like 10 times during the budget presentation. I get it, but every once in a while you got to think about how do you do to keep it on. I mean, I think you guys came up with a very conservative budget, but conservative and liberal and progressive are not the same. To me, I've always been a middle of the road kind of guy that always thinks, okay, the good times is to prepare for the bad times. It isn't to gloat or say, okay, we've been doing good. We've been doing good for a few years. I mean, it's bound to go down sometime, and I think that this is the time you prepare it. And you don't prepare it, you don't overdo it. You just do enough to be able to stave off some of the big decisions you have to make later on. I had this discussion yesterday with someone that's now in the city council in San Luis, and they're dealing with their insurance problem. Mm-hmm. Now they didn't charge anything to their dependent employees, I think, or something like that. And now they're having to charge 32%, which is not unusual to see. Wow. I mean, but they're having to charge 32% to the employees who are going to get about 100 and something increase, who are going to get a 3% or 5% increase, and they're going to think that is going to be eaten up by the insurance, which is something we do all the time. We think about all the time. Fortunately, we do plan it differently. We do have reserves. We can't diminish a little bit the impact. They can't. They never prepare for it. So
I think this is what they're showing us here, and obviously using a combination. It is preparing us for the future, because I just want to make sure that staff knows that if we don't do certain things, and we want to continue to be attractive, attract more employees, and retain, but we need to do something, because we just can't be giving it, every year, unless we do things and a combination of things. So just so that every staff member has that in mind, or at least they know, and especially about the PILT. So
yeah,
I think
right. You don't want us to change policies right now. You just want to give us a view of what could happen in the future, right? Yeah. So let's thank you guys. You brought in a budget that was it's easy for me to approve. I mean, technically and privately, it's easy for me to approve, but I mean when it comes for approval, which will be when the final budget comes in June, sometime in June 23rd. And sometimes at the beginning of June, we'll want to work and approve our candidates.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of announcements, and I'm sure somebody's going to complain about it. Somebody's going to say that's a good budget. I think it's a good budget. If nothing changes, I'll be ready to approve it when it comes forward. Okay?
I'm good.
Anything else, Ian or Tony?
No, sir. Just thank you all board members for your cooperation and feedback during this process. It's appreciated. I think it's a good budget.
All right. Well, once again, thanks to the BRT.
Can I take this? I didn't get a chance to get into it.
Yeah. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank my team, my own Office of Management Budget team with Amy and Maritza. They came in this year into a very challenging year, and they had to jump right into the fire, and they responded and
Which took some
yeah,
guy.
that part of the team. And also, of course, Lucia. So
Yeah, the BRT.
You guys did a good job.
management and budget.
No. Where is he? I haven't seen him.
Amy?
Amy?
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Maritza Budget Analyst.
Hi.
All right.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.